Hi everyone, Jeff Sherry, museum educator at the Hagen History Center. I'm standing in Waterford, Pennsylvania, the site of Fort LeBoeuf, the French fort here in Erie County that was just above French Creek, LeBoeuf Creek. It linked French Creek to the Allegheny River and thus the Ohio River at Pittsburgh or Fort Duquesne. Take a look at the statue of Washington and the site of Fort LeBoeuf. The fort itself was probably right in the middle of the street, right here. Just across the street is the museum, Fort LeBoeuf Museum, which was one time Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission, is now administered by the Fort LeBoeuf Historical Society. Behind me is the statue of Washington, and we'll take a walk up to it now. Statue of George Washington, Waterford, Pennsylvania. Washington was a 24-year-old major in the Virginia militia, thus a British officer. This is Washington's statue, the only one in the United States of Washington in a British uniform. This marker shows a diagram of the fort, and it's important to remember the reason for these forts. The French, who controlled Canada, were in the process in the 1750s of expanding their empire into western Pennsylvania. Now, this area was also claimed by Virginia, a British colony. Washington was sent here in 1753 by the governor of Virginia, Robert Dinwiddie, to tell the French to get out. He'd started near Pittsburgh, Fort Duquesne, Logstown on the Ohio River, was told everywhere he went that he had to continue to go north to find the French commander. He goes to Fort Michaud at Franklin, where French Creek joins the Allegheny, and he was told there, no, you must go to LeBoeuf. So he travels in the winter, no doubt, in December to Waterford, where he comes to Fort LeBoeuf. He's wined and dined and treated very graciously, presents an ultimatum from the British, which they politely deny, and Washington will return to Virginia on a very perilous trip, almost losing his life several times along the way. A raft falls apart in the Allegheny, an Indian takes a shot at him. Bad trip for George into western Pennsylvania. Here in Waterford is the site also of the Eagle Hotel, 1830s, and just beyond the post office is the Judson House, 1810, and beyond that is the site where Colonel Strong Vincent was born. I'm now about 2 miles south of Meadville. This is French Creek. It flows south from Sherman, New York to Franklin, where it meets the Allegheny River. The importance of this part of the creek is what's behind me. During his 1753 visit to Fort LeBoeuf at Waterford, George Washington passed this area, and he commented in his journal, published later, of the natural meadows existing between Venango and Cussawauga, which is Meadville. Some of these meadows, Washington said, were 4 to 5 miles in length. Measuring this meadow, it is 4 miles long. French Creek lies to the right of the shot at the base of the mountain and flows south. Standing here in busy downtown Franklin at the site of Fort Michaud, the French fort built in Franklin, Pennsylvania, near the junction of French Creek and the Allegheny River. Here in Franklin, this is the site of Fort Michaud. The Allegheny River and the mountains in the distance. The Allegheny, of course, flows to Pittsburgh and on to the Mississippi. As I come around, you see where Route 8322 crosses the Allegheny. But as I go back and show you these neighborhoods and boat launch here, Fort Michaud would have been in this vicinity. The account says it's 60 yards from the Allegheny River. So here is where Washington was directed to Fort LeBoeuf. Well, this concludes our trip to George Washington's visits to Northwest Pennsylvania. We went from Fort LaBeouf here in Waterford to Fort Michaud in Franklin and a couple of stops along the way. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you like this video, like us on Facebook.